Hey everybody, this is part 2 of dividing decimals by decimals, and we did one earlier that was some very friendly numbers when we set this up, and it was very easy to divide. We're going to do an example now that has some less friendly numbers that shows you that it's just as easy to solve. It may take a little bit more work in our long division, but we can definitely take care of that. Following the same basic rules that we followed doing this easier problem. So we are dividing 13.59 by 0.75. We're going to set that up like a regular division problem. So this is our divisor. So it is going to go outside of the division symbol when we set this up. Our dividend, the number we're dividing, is going to go inside the division symbol. And we talked about when we want to do this type of division, we want to make the divisor a whole number. That's what we did on the other problem. We moved this over 1 and it became 1 decimal place, and 0.2 became 2. Whatever we did here, we had to also do here. So we matched it. 1 decimal place here, 1 decimal place here. Same thing applies on this example. If we move this over 1, we still don't have a whole number. We've gone from 0.75 to 7.5, and we need a whole number to do this type of division. So we're going to move it again. By moving it twice, it becomes 75. So whatever we do here, 2 decimal places moved, is what we do here, 2 decimal places moved. And now we're ready to set up our equivalent division problem. So this would be equal to 75 divided by 1,359, because we moved the decimal place twice here and twice here. So this looks like whole number division, which it is now. But I'm going to keep that decimal point that I moved here. I'm going to keep it there, and I'm going to copy it in my answer line, because I think I may need it. If I don't, if I end up stopping here with my division, I won't need to use it. But if I go past it, I might need it, and I'm going to need it, I believe, for this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it for this example. So I'm ready to do some division, and I realized real quick, this big 75 out here is not easy to figure out how many times it goes into this number. On the previous question we did, it's easy to see how many times 2 goes into 4, and 2 goes into 8, and 2 goes into 6, because we know those multiplication facts. But we probably don't have our 75 multiplication tables committed to memory. But they're easy enough to figure out, because 75 is kind of an easy number to handle. So what I would do at this point is I would use a multiplication t-chart, or I would make a list of my facts to see what I'm going to need. So I've used a t-chart. 75 times 1 is 75. 75 times 2 is 150, and so on and so on and so on. Each time it grows by 75. So I've gone all the way to 75 times 9 equals 675. I can use this to help me with my division. And students are not going to be able to just instantly know this. They're going to have to make a list to use so that they know how to do it. I think students feel like this is a step that they don't have to do, and I just don't know how they would solve this as a 6th grader, how they would solve this any other way than having it in front of them to use. So we're going to look at this, see if we can divide this now. We know that 75 can't go into 1. We know that 75 can't go into 13. We could put the 0 and do our multiplication and do our subtraction, but it's going to end up getting us back to a number that we can use, which is going to be 135. So since 75 can't go into 1, or can't go into 13, it can go into 135, that's what we're going to start with. So 75 can go into 135. Well, 1 time is 75, 2 times is 150, and we can't go over 135, so we're going to have to stick with 1. So 75 goes into 135 1 time. 1 times 75 is 75. just like regular division, I'm now ready to subtract. I end up with 0. 13 minus 7 is 6, but some students need to show the borrowing, even though it's going to get us right back to where we were. 13 minus 7 is 6. So I've done my subtraction, and now I'm going to bring down the next digit, which is the 9. So I have 609. I don't know how many times 75 is going to go into 609, but if I've done some work ahead of time over here, I can go straight to my T-chart, and I can see that 8 times is what I need, because 600 is close. 9 times is too much. So I know I'm looking for 8 times. So 75 goes into 609 8 times. 8 times 75 is 600, using my T-chart again. And I'm subtracting. And I get 9. This would be 0 and 0. So 75 does not go into 9. So here's why I needed that decimal place. Because I can use zeros to bring down so that I can continue my division. I know 75 can now go into 90. All right? If you need to use your T-chart, you can, but it's only going to go once. Let me extend this a little bit. 75 goes into 90 one time. 1 times 75 is 75. I subtract.
Teachers, if you have any PTA membership forms and money in your office or in your classroom, can you please take those to Mr. Adams' classroom at this time, please? Thank you.
There you go. Free announcement for you, no charge. Back to division now. We're going to have to borrow to solve this. So we get 8, we get 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 7 is 1. Okay? 75 is not going to go into 15, but if we use one more 0 and bring it down, we get 150. And students probably know if you double 75, 75 times 2, it is 150. So 75 goes into 150 2 times. 2 times 75 is 150. When I subtract, I get no remainder, and so my answer is 18.12, or 18 and 1200ths. So there were, it was tougher to do because we didn't know our 75 facts, so we made us a list. This is huge. I really want to start seeing my students use this as a tool so that they can reference it to do their division. Okay? They know the steps for the division, but we don't want to make any mistakes, so we've got to organize our thoughts with a T-chart or with some type of a list. We only needed to move this twice to make this a whole number. We had to match that over here, and so we had our decimal in the right place, and it helped us. It helped us when we did our division to know it was time to add some zeros to bring down, and that we were going to end up with a decimal number again and not just a whole number. So you can do this with friendly numbers like this one, where you only have to move them once, and you can do it with some not so friendly numbers when you got to do some work to figure out what you need to do. So just make sure that when you're dividing, you're matching this decimal movement. If you move this 2 to make this a whole number, you've got to move it 2 for your dividend. I hope this helps. I hope this helps you with your homework, and you can reference these and watch these as many times as you need to. Thanks for watching.